Here we are on November the 4th. We're on day 50 and we're starting on the front end. And so as I was out towards the end of last week, I wanted to get a good feel for where everyone's at. I did get some messages of some students kind of still working through some older work, through some old labs and things like that. And because we're about a day ahead, give or take, we're a little bit ahead of where I was last year. I kind of made today kind of an ease back into the week kind of thing. And you're going to see that today, if you're behind, if you're not completely caught up, you're going to have some time to make up some work. So you're going to have some time today to work on old labs. If you didn't turn that hands-on test on time, that's okay. You can work on the hands-on test. And you can continue to work through old work. Now, if you are caught up, okay, you're going to have a little bit of an advantage because you're going to get a jump start on React. Okay, and so you'll notice that I'm going to lecture on React tomorrow. Okay, however, if you look at the playlist that we're using, there is a React lecture that I gave, and here there's a shopping cart part 1, shopping cart part 2, and a to-do list. I would encourage you to, number 1, do some reading before you watch these videos, and the reading as typically can be found on the homepage of Inside Rankin. If you need a little bit of a refresher on HTML and CSS, because this is the front end, React does use HTML and CSS. Okay, I would encourage you to kind of refresh yourself on HTML and CSS. There's some reading on React underneath that. There's some Bootstrap slides if you need a refresher on Bootstrap. So again, I would encourage you, if you're caught up, refresh yourself on HTML and CSS. Get a jump start on some React. So here's some React notes, some React reading. Here's number 5 is some Bootstrap refresher. There's some reading on React hooks. Okay, and here you're going to see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 labs for React. Okay, so this is just where we're going. There's 4 different labs for React. If we look at this week on the syllabus, again, today, make up work if you're behind. If you're caught up, you're going to get a jump start on React, on some theory, do some reading. You can watch some videos, do some code alongs. Here, React Shopping Cart Part 1, Part 2. You can do the to-do list as well. That's all good practice. And that shopping cart, part 1 and part 2, that is the first lab. It's essentially a code along. Okay, so if you look at 0501, you're building kind of a shopping cart. Okay, so if you really want to get a good jump start and get a start on that lab, you can get a start on that lab. After this lecture tomorrow, we're going to have 1 lab day for 0501, again, because it's just a shopping cart. And if you follow this video, call it 2.5 hours, and obviously you're not going to be able to code at that speed, but 2.5 hours of work. Then that leaves Thursday, Friday for 0502. Okay, now we're just getting a start on 0502. It's not due. The only thing that's due this week is 0501. Okay. Now, in your repository, since this lab is not your final project, if you'll remember, there is a labs folder, and you could just submit this in the labs folder. So I'll even just add this little note, submit in the labs 0501 folder, which of course you will need to create this folder, right? 0501. Create this folder if it does not exist. Okay, but the takeaway of today and how I want you guys to proceed. If you're behind a little bit, perfect. That's what today is for. If you're caught up, you get a good jump start on everybody else who's not quite there. No problem. Tomorrow lecture, Wednesday lab day, Thursday, Friday lab days. Cool? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Also what I'm going to do, and I'll stop this recording here,